Hello everyone, welcome to the Booster Shot. By means of this show, I, Ayush Gupta, cover for you on a daily basis the big picture debates of the Rajya Sabha TV, the Indian Express's very important explained section, and the Science Monitor by Rajya Sabha TV. In order to ace any competitive examination, the key lies not in increasing our sources of information, but in curtailing our sources of knowledge. And which is why I have chosen these three segments, which not only cover all issues of national and international importance, but also provide us with certain unique points that in turn are going to increase the quality of our answers. So today we are going to cover up Indian Express's today's explained section, which talks about the recently discovered silos, missile silos of China. So you must have seen this picture. This is a satellite taken picture, and this was printed in the Indian Express's explained section. So you can see over here a silo. What are silos? Silos are basically, you can say, bunkers which are used to store missiles with nuclear warheads, or it can be used to store missiles with conventional warheads as well. So in case of China, generally these are specialized silos, and such silos have been located at approximately 4 locations and 3 locations recently. So these silos are roughly about 3 kilometers apart from one another, and these are fields of silos, which means in one area you can find a number of such silos. Every silo generally contains one missile, and these silos are present in a grid pattern. So let us look at the context first. So the context is, as I have explained it to you, that satellite pictures have revealed vast fields of missile silos which could be equipped with missiles with nuclear warheads to be used against China's adversaries, which also includes USA and India for that very matter. In order to go through this entire issue, I have framed a question out of the entire issue. While answering that question, we are going to understand the importance of this development. So the question goes like this. Number 1, why is China digging these silos? Implication of these silos for US-China nuclear dyad, जो कि US and China के बीच के अंदर जो nuclear diplomacy चलती है या फिर जो nuclear strategic equation है, that is called as US-China nuclear dyad. In a similar manner, implications with respect to India-China nuclear dyad, and how these developments could be addressed by stakeholders for a safer world. So before we move on, I'll also try to show you certain other pictures which is going to add context and our understanding with respect to the entire issue. So satellite images has found these 3 locations, that is Hami in Xinjiang province of China, Yomen in Gansu province of China, Hangin Banner Orders city in Inner Mongolia. Inner Mongolia is basically an autonomous region in China. Autonomous region in China are those regions which have roughly autonomy from the PLA's government, that People's Republic of China, government, and work autonomously. So in 3 areas के अंदर satellites ने recently in past months discover करे हैं ये silos की fields. जो Xinjiang province है उसके अंदर लगभग 110 silos की fields have been discovered. In Yomen, that is in Gansu province, about 120 silos have been discovered in this field, and in the field of Inner Mongolia about 29 silos have been discovered. Earlier in the year, basically 16 silos were again discovered located in Jelantai, Inner Mongolia. So at that point in time, it was thought that these silos are basically been used by People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, so as for the purpose of training. But with the new data and the new images, it has now been cleared that this is more than just certain silos for the purpose of practice of PLA-RF, that is People Liberation Army Rocket Force, that deals with the rocket division. So over here you can look at the locations. Basically this is the Xinjiang province. Why I have shown you the Xinjiang province specifically? So now at this point in time in Hami we have seen about 120 silos. During the recent standoff between India and China, China had deployed certain missiles in Kerala region, and these missiles were also capable of carrying nuclear warhead. This Kerala region was in Xinjiang province, and it holds proximity to in India, like over this is the Ladakh region. So these basically missiles which were located in Kerala region also had that very range from which it could have struck India in this very region. Then this is the list of basically China's missiles, certain important missiles. The missile which is of concern over here is DF-41. This is an intercontinental missile which has a range of about 12,000 to 15,000 kilometers. So US fears that China is going to fill these silos with missiles carrying warheads of DF missiles, that is DF-45 missiles, and will be stored in these silos as per that is the apprehension with respect to US, and these will be loaded with nuclear warheads. With respect to India, the thing that I told you, that intermediate range ballistic missile which was deployed in Kerala, इस मिसाइल का नाम है DF-26. So this missile has a range of about 4,000 kilometers. Now let us see with respect to the India's capability. India के अंदर जो हमारे पास major missile है, the longest range is Agni 5. We are in the process of developing Agni 6. So Agni 5 की induction अभी जारी है, and it's about 5,000 किलोमीटर इसकी कैपेसिटी है, दैट इज इट्स मारक क्षमता हिंदी के अंदर अगर हम बात करें तो. सो नाउ मूविंग फॉरवर्ड, सो towards our first part of the question as to why is China digging these silos. Since there has been no explanation on the part of the China, there are basically three explanations that experts and nuclear experts have come out on. So the first one is launch on warning posture. That is launch on warning posture ये होता है जिसके अंदर upon getting a warning, an intimation that a certain territory and a certain adversary has launched a missile on you, this thing will already gets alerted, and a missile will be already launched, will be launched directly towards the adversary, and not only with this missile counter the incoming missile but also attack adversary's territory. So इसे समझने के लिए let us understand a bit about nuclear deterrence. So nuclear deterrence में होता क्या है? There are two ways in which you can deter another country from attacking on you. Number one is theory of denial, and number two is theory of, or you can say practice of, massive retaliation. So supposedly, and in another country, let's take example of India and Pakistan. So in order to deter Pakistan from using its nuclear weapons against India, India can have two approaches. The first approach is the denial. Basically, India develops such facilities along its borders and its military capacities and its tactical capacities, so that if Pakistan tomorrow thinks of attacking India, it knows that it will fail in that very aspect, and therefore then Pakistan will not attack India. The other way to do this is the thing of massive retaliation. So what is the basic drawback of this denial posture? In order to create deniability of any attack, we have to invest a lot of money. So in order to bring in those resources, that becomes a major difficult task, and it is here where this second tactic comes in, that is massive retaliation. That is, you create such capacities that the other country knows that if the other country attacks you, then we have the capacity to retaliate in such a manner and in such a fierce manner that whatever gains that very country sought to achieve, it would be of no use, and this thing would be detrimental to that very country. And this is in this very respect only India's nuclear policy works, that is of no first use policy. There are many scholars and many people who advocate that India should do away with this very policy. However, with respect to India's position and nuclear strategic position with respect to Pakistan, how it has been most effective, we can understand in this from this manner that Pakistan is having asymmetric disadvantage with respect to India when it comes to military power. So Pakistan can never manage this military might of India. So the only option of Pakistan to ensure that it survives in future is that it has developed nuclear weapons. However, if now today India, which has no intention of attacking Pakistan as such, if it has a policy of first using nuclear weapons or of not caring with respect to it, then Pakistan will go into another stage of ambiguity. So today Pakistan knows that if there is an attack from India, it will surely not be a nuclear attack, and therefore it can try at some level so as to manage that attack with its conventional forces. However, tomorrow when Pakistan is not sure as to what would be India's response to any of its attacks, then the only option that would be left with Pakistan would be to use the nuclear weapons in the first instance. And it is over here that in order to add certain degree of certainty to this very nuclear equation, India's no first use policy works perfectly. We all need to understand this very thing, that all the nuclear powers that there are, जितने भी nuclear powers हैं, no matter irrespective of the fact कि how much they are anti against one another, there is a degree of tacit cooperation between them. Tacit cooperation की इनको इसलिए ज़रूरत है because both of them know that what could be the repercussions of any such act. So now let's move on to our topic. So why would be China developing these silos? So China could be developing these silos so as to develop launch on warning posture. So political scientists believe that this could be an attempt to move to launch on warning nuclear posture. Launch on warning nuclear posture refers to a launch at an adversary on detection of an incoming missile before the adversary's missile hits its target. So basically, in this very manner, not only, so China also has no first use policy. So in that very manner, China knows that if any individual attacks it, there will be the possibility of massive retaliation. But by doing this, China would have also created a capacity of denial. Launch or warning आपको एक denial की capacity दे देती है, so that the other individual knows that if I launch any sort of missile on this very country, its systems will track it, and at the very second it is going to launch a nuclear warhead at it. So in this very manner, low head launch on warning posture is going to increase the capacity of denial of China. So China's nuclear strategy is based on achieving deterrence through assured retaliation. The crucial requirement for this is the survivability of China's nuclear arsenal following the first strike. So naturally, every another country who is having nuclear arsenal, while attacking on you, the main aim of that very country would be कि आपके सारे nuclear arsenal सबसे पहले destroy कर दिए जाएं, so that there will be no possibility of retaliation. In order to make your deterrence of massive retaliation credible, आपको ये इंश्योर करना होगा कि फर्स्ट स्ट्राइक होने के बाद भी आपके पास कैपेसिटी हो सामने वाले के ऊपर अटैक करने की. And in this very manner, launch on warning posture can be adopted by China by creating so many silos, and these silos can be put in with missiles having nuclear warheads in an alert form. There is as of now these missiles, that is DF-41, they have solid fuel. So ये जो इंटरकॉन्टिनेंटल बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल है चाइना की, इनके अंदर सॉलिड फ्यूल है. लिक्विड फ्यूल वाली मिसाइल्स को के अंदर पहले लिक्विड फ्यूल भरा जाता है. सो इस सिनेरियो के अंदर चाइना इन मिसाइल्स के अंदर न्यूक्लियर वॉरहेड लगा के इन साइलोज में डाल सकता है एंड उसे अलर्ट रिस्पॉन्स पे रख सकता है। फिलहाल चाइना की सारी न्यूक्लियर हेड वाली मिसाइल्स डी अलर्ट पोस्चर पे है, विच मीन्स कि जब तक कमांड नहीं दी जाएगी तब तक वह मिसाइल्स लॉन्च नहीं होंगी। हाउएवर, when we put the missiles on an alert mode, then whenever there is a warning that a missile has been launched at you, these missiles will automatically be launched. With respect to world, there are only 4 countries which keep such missiles on alert mode. These countries are USA, Russia, Britain and France. So, however, building up silos, now what is the drawback and as to where we can be wrong with respect to this explanation. So, forming of silos cannot be said to be a conclusive proof that these are going to be used so as to prepare China for launch on warning posture. Then, moving on to the second reason, a step towards facilitating increase in nuclear warheads. So basically, with the increasing rise of position in China on the world stage, there is an apprehension that China may increase its nuclear arsenal. So as of now, China has about somewhat 350 nuclear warheads. So by adding these very silos, China today will be adding roughly 410 to 440 new silos. In order to fill these new silos, China would be requiring another set of missiles, that is DF-44, DF-41. So if China has to fill up these 110 to 140 missile silos, it has to double down, or rather I'd say triple down on the stockpile of its DF-41 missiles. So that will also take on certain time. And one DF-41 missile is estimated of having a capacity to carry about 6 nuclear warheads at one time. So 6 nuclear warheads एक साथ ये मोबाइल लगभग कैरी कर सकती है। चाइना का क्लेम थोड़ा ज़्यादा है, ऑल्दो उसने टेस्ट सिर्फ करा है इसको 2 warheads के साथ। So roughly it has been estimated by its adversaries that DF-41 intercontinental ballistic missile can carry about up to 6 warheads. So in order to fill all these silos with these missiles and then employ these missiles with nuclear warheads, China will have to increase its nuclear arsenal also, and therefore China would roughly add, in this very manner, if we have to go by this theory, 930 to 940 warheads. That will be tripling down its current warheads. Why this thing looks like unlikely is because this would require a lot of fissile material and a lot of capacity, which at present it doesn't seem that China has. Thirdly, using the silos as decoys, shell games. So इसका आंसर मैं आपको we can understand this in a proper manner by seeing this thing. So today China carries these ballistic missiles in a mobile form. So these trucks have been used and these ballistic missiles can be taken on these trucks to anywhere. However, by putting these missiles in these shells, how can this work out? You see, it is not necessary for China to fill up all these shells. However, it will create a problem for the adversary, because then the adversary before striking has to ensure that all these shells have to be destroyed, and so that no nuclear warhead is left with China. So this will increase the efforts of the adversary, and in this very manner shell game can be played with by China. So China does not need to fill up all these silos with missiles. It can either fill up these it may not even fill a single silo with these missiles. So this is a sort of shell game that China is playing. Moreover, with regards to the US increasing capacity, US has of late started modernizing its nuclear arsenal and its technology so that it can counter any strike with respect to any country, and it can take out their capacity to attack it with nuclear weapons. For example, in case of North Korea, what if North Korea tomorrow attacks USA? So in order to make North Korea unable to attack in USA, US can develop or is developing certain technologies and strategies so that it can take out the entire potential of a country to attack it. So President Xi Jinping की यहाँ पे एक statement बहुत ज़्यादा important है. He had directed the military to accelerate the creation of advanced strategic deterrent capabilities. So today, as we know, that China and USA are in sort of a cold war. So what if tomorrow China and USA are in a confrontation and USA decides to take out all the Chinese capabilities, and therefore these silos will serve as shell games and it will improve China's ability so as to with respect to deterrent capacities. Moving on. So how is this situation, the second question of ours, that how is this situation going to impact the US China nuclear dyad? इन दोनों की strategic nuclear strategic equation पे क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? So the US Department of Defense 2020 China military power report has projected that yes, China is on road to enhancing its nuclear warheads, and in the next decade it is surely going to double them down. So now there is a difference between US's nuclear policy and China's nuclear policy. US nuclear policy is based on capability of counter force, that US not only can have the ability of first strike but also taking out the capacity of the other country to attack it. So it is in the process of developing such capabilities, whereas China's nuclear policy is based on survivability, that China does not intend to attack any other country, but in case any other nuclear power country attacks China, it should be able to survive. So what does the new silos do? Basically, new silos add a layer of ambiguity and deception to the Chinese posture. So because earlier China has said that it is having the massive retaliation policy. However, now with respect to new silos, you can understand from the three explanations that I have given you. Number one, that is launch on warning. Second, that it is enhancing it may be enhancing its warheads. And thirdly, that these silos are being used as shells. So it is in this very manner ambiguity and deception has been added to this posture of China. So a scholar by the name of David Logan has told us, has given 2 points as to how this thing can lead into escalation, or this can lead into a nuclear war in case there is an escalation of tensions between USA and China. So how is that? So what China has done is that China has correlated their conventional and nuclear capabilities. For example, the DF-41 and DF-26 जो मिसाइल इंडिया की तरफ रखी थी चाइना ने, ये दोनों मिसाइल्स basically are capable of carrying conventional warheads and nuclear warheads. So how are we going to detect, or how are one is going to assume that when this missile is launched, whether this missile is having a nuclear warhead or a conventional warhead? So as per David Logan, he says that in case there is war going on between USA and China and there is going to be an escalation, USA is going to think that China has developed or done this so as to create more deception, and therefore China is in turn ready for more escalation. बेसिकली क्योंकि जब आप ज़्यादा डिसेप्शन क्रिएट करेंगे, इंडिया ने अपनी न्यूक्लियर पॉलिसी बिल्कुल क्लियर रखी हुई है पाकिस्तान के लिए, ऑफ नो फर्स्ट यूज पॉलिसी. सो पाकिस्तान नोस कि इंडिया के साथ जब भी लड़ाई होएगी, इंडिया पहले नहीं वार करने वाला विद न्यूक्लियर वेपन. हाउएवर इन दिस वेरी केस, डिस्पाइट ऑफ चाइना हैविंग अ पॉलिसी of no first use, when its weapons are being used in such a manner that the same weapon is used for firing conventional warheads and the same is used for firing nuclear warheads, then how is one going to rely on this very doctrine of the China? And in this very manner, the US may perceive that China is ready for escalation and is ready to take on risks. Then मोबाइल मिसाइल्स. सो चाइना बेसिकली अर्लियर ये जो मोबाइल वैन्स हैं इनके थ्रू अपनी DF, सो इन मोबाइल वैन के थ्रू, इन मोबाइल ट्रक्स के थ्रू DF-41, DF-26 जो कि इंडिया के अगेंस्ट लगाए थे कोराला रीजन में, जिंजियान में, इनके थ्रू अपनी मिसाइल्स को चाइना ट्रांसफर करता है. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज, जब कोई भी इस लेवल की मिसाइल विद अ न्यूक्लियर वॉरहेड इज बीन ट्रांसपोर्टेड फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू अनदर, दीज मिसाइल्स गो इन कॉन्वॉइस, बेसिकली सपोर्ट स्ट्रक्चर्स होते हैं, रेडार्स होते हैं, एंड लंबी लंबी गाड़ियों की लाइन होती है, जैसे कि आपने कभी कभार रोड्स पे देखा होगा इंडिया के अंदर. सो इन दिस वेरी मैनर इट इज इजी टू डिटेक्ट दीज मिसाइल्स. वेयर एज नाउ अब चाइना ने साइलोस बना दिए हैं. देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि ये साइलोस इंटरकनेक्टेड हुए एंड इनके बीच में से ये टनल्स चल रही हुए एंड इन टनल्स के थ्रू एक साइलो से दूसरे साइलो के अंदर ये मिसाइल्स ट्रांसपोर्ट करी जा सकती हैं. इन दिस वेरी मैनर यूएस may never come to know as to where to attack, and in this very manner China has created another level of basically deception, and therefore now US may think that either to China has used this thing for mobile missiles for as to secure its capacity. With respect to China, this may be the aim of China, so as to secure its missiles from any attack in any case scenario, so that it can maintain its doctrine of massive retaliation and it can ensure its survivability, and US cannot take out its capacities by counter strike. However, US may think that China has developed these missile silos as for preparing launch on warning posture. So this mismatch between them with respect to their actions, mismatch of policies, mismatch of apprehensions, may lead to escalation, future escalations. So this is how it is going to affect US-China dyad. Then with respect to India, now why it should be concerned with India? The only concern today is because 16 such missiles, that is DF-26, were recently deployed in Kerala in Xinjiang. However, largely it appears that these silos are being built with respect to enhanced deterrence against USA. So Stockholm International Peace Research Institute का ये कहना है इसकी रिपोर्ट का that China's basically nuclear policy does not have to do with respect to anything with respect to South Asia's nuclear triangle. Basically, China is detached from South Asian nuclear triangle, that is between China, India and Pakistan. China says that Pakistan had to develop nuclear capacities because of the asymmetric balance between Pakistan and India's military, and China has to develop its nuclear capacities because of the enhancing US capabilities of counter strike, and it does not see that India should have any reason for enhancing its basically capacities like the US. And according to China, US is basically using China so as to justify its enhancing of capacities. In past also, with respect to any dispute between India and China, nuclear threats have not been posed against one another, and moreover both the countries are having no first use policy. So therefore China's new addition to its capacities are not much of a concern for India. The only areas of concern are with respect to basically India's capacities to strike China. Basically India has modest ballistic missiles and China के पास जो टेक्नोलॉजी है वो इंटरकॉन्टिनेंटल बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल टू द ट्यून ऑफ टेस्टेड है, that is DF-41, जो कि can strike up to 15,000 kilometers. Secondly, China's nuclear ambiguity are matters of concern. Basically China has always looked India from the USA's lens, and because of increasing India's increasing intimacy, strategic intimacy with US in the form of Quad, therefore China may use this ambiguity so as to signal India and tell India so as to mend its ways. So in this very manner, this can be a concern for India and China's nuclear dyad. Then, how can these developments be resolved, and how can the stakeholders resolve these developments so as to create a safer world? As of now, if we see, there isn't very much that can be done. So China has already stated that it is not going to join the new START. START क्या है? Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. ये treaty basically USA और Russia के बीच में है in order to limit their warheads and in order to limit their arms race. Basically USA and Russia has nuclear warheads in thousands of numbers. So China says that it makes no point for a country who is having just nuclear warheads in hundreds and not even have breached 500 mark yet, so as to sit in these negotiations. Secondly, US and China के बीच में एक nuclear dialogue roughly 15 साल पहले रुक गया था. So in order to basically address this situation, US can take an initiative so as to address this thing and try and start this dialogue. However, while doing this, then US will also have to justify as to why at all it is enhancing or it is modernizing its nuclear arsenal. With respect to India, so China, as I've already told you, because of Stockholm International, as stated by Stockholm International Peace Research Report, and with respect to our past experience also, China does not attach much of significance or does not see the South Asian nuclear triangle as its main area of play. However, the only area is with respect to India and China. India getting more closer to US and recent border disputes between India and China. And because of these disputes, there is a very less possibility that any constructive dialogue can take place at this present moment. So, this is with respect to China's nuclear silos, and in coming future maybe we'll listen more about it. I have attached the PDF of this very lecture along with this very lecture. Should you have any doubts, feel free to contact me. You can put your doubts in the comment box. I'll definitely reply to them. Thank you and have a nice day.